I feel like you became Canadian like icons because of this, like because of Schitt's Creek. Like it's it's such a cute, unique thing that everyone's Canadian, and it was like this mom and pop production that then became sweeping the awards and all that. But it's like it was like you were doing it for yourself and your career and for the writers, but it felt like you were like doing it for your country because so much of it was it was like the two things about Schitt's Creek was like how funny it was and how good the writing was and all that, and that it was Canada's, so that was like, oh my God, this is that country's TV show.
Yeah, well, it's funny that when Dan and Eugene went and pitched the show, they pitched to everyone. No one wanted it. Only Canada on the CBC. And it was so fortunate because they got to make the show they wanted to make, which I don't know that if they were on a big American network, they would have let them do that.
Right.
I know even in network meetings, a lot of the time there's these day-long discussions about a gay couple having a kiss and when it's appropriate and how much is too much. And so there was never any of that. It was always about just like telling the story they wanted to tell. And so I do think that was really great about it, that it just ended up like that.
I think you mentioned
that no one in America wanted us.
You mentioned the gay couple kissing. I think one of the more like powerful statements I've ever really read about that was an interview with Dan. And someone asked him, and it was not earlier in the show, but maybe it was season 3, something like that. And someone asked him when he's going to have to deal with homophobia and a homophobic character or something like that. And Dan said something along the lines of, this is my world that I've created, and I refuse to accept that, so that will not live in this world. It'll never happen. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. Yeah. That's such a, like, that. And to your point, probably American, major studios would probably be like, look, this is something he's going to have to deal with. You have to write it in. And he's like, no, I don't accept that, and I will not do it.
I probably would have. I remember at the beginning of the show, Dan had a mandate that there would be no homophobia in Schitt's Creek, and the town and the townspeople would never be the butt of the joke. Those were his two things. No, any of the shitty isms, no racism, it just doesn't exist there. And what a brilliant way, because I would have thought, like I think a lot of people, if you want to show issues and stuff, you show the struggle and whatever, and no, you just show a world where it doesn't exist and it works perfectly.
Yeah.
Nobody misses it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like the town became like this little, like in a little snow globe where it's like, wow, wouldn't it be nice to live in that little town and live that life because it's so wonderful. Yeah. Were you? And
I think even oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead. You can tell me to shut up. No.
I'm sorry.
We're going to get into a sorry off here.
This interview's never going to end. It's just going to keep going forever. No, you go. No, but
oh my gosh. I just, see, and now once you go that long, then you're like,
what was
the
I
thing
saying?
I was going to say is dumb. This is dumb anyways. But I was going to say that I think even the decision to think about not making the small town the butt of the joke, which usually people are like, oh, those dumb yokels, and it wasn't. It was them that was the joke.
Right.
I thought that was so special.
He does walk it a little bit, and one of my favorite jokes in the show is in episode 1 when Dan says he doesn't feel like being the victim of a hate crime, so he doesn't want to go to the tailgate party.
That is funny.
Did anybody ever think it was going to be what it became?
No, I don't think any of us thought that, but I think we thought it was going to be bigger at the beginning because we signed on to a show with Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy.
Right.
Who, we thought and the writing was great and whatever. And, it came out and it was medium big, medium, it wasn't a big out of the gate success. But what I love about that is CBC let us continue to make the show, which I don't think any other network, if you weren't making the numbers and stuff like that, would really support you all along the way to get to make 6 seasons of a show that wasn't like a hit.
Right.
But we loved it and we thought it was so special. And so kind of the best thing ever was for it to end, and we all like loved it and me and Annie and Sarah, we were like, the show's done now, the offers are gonna come rolling in. And we're like, tumbleweed. Are you getting any? Does any casting director want to see you? Because no one wants to see me. And then all of a sudden, it was this kind of sensation, and I think it was also, you know, going onto Netflix.
Right? That was it. Yeah, Netflix is where I started watching.
Yeah, and that was a slow thing, but I really think it was everyone in quarantine, you know, wanting something with a genuine heart that still didn't sacrifice its funny for that.
Yeah, that is the thing, to be funny while, because like heartwarming and loving and all that can kind of be corny and kind of be soft and like a little bit lame in certain ways, especially humor. It can, you know, a lot of people want edgy humor or whatever. And so it's almost like being a clean comic in a way. It's like, if you can do it and be funny that way, that's really impressive, because you're not leaning on sex and whatever other tropes that you can't. So it's like, that's the hardest thing to do. That's why Schitt's Creek and Ted Lasso is another one on Apple TV that I think is like so good, and like in pandemic it was like what people needed while still being like, oh, this shit is funny.
Do you think that you guys kind of changed like the landscape of TV? Because for 30 years I've always, like, it's been the good shows, the big shows are like the anti-heroes. You know, the Sopranos, the Breaking Bads, the Sons of Anarchies, like things where like they're bad people, but you're still rooting for them. And you guys were the first show. I've actually given credit to Ted Lasso as well because of recency bias. That's the one on my brain. But like, I think you guys were the first show where I was like, okay, these are just genuinely good people who are funny and are and like a lot of funny shows, like Always Sunny is one of my favorite shows on television. But that show, it's a new world, not a new world, but it's a new beginning every day. Like however the every episode ends, it's just the same thing again. But you guys had like really character growth, and like everyone was getting better and becoming better people as the show went on. And I can't remember really watching a show and hoping for the people to get better. I was always hoping for them to get worse usually.
You don't root against anybody.
That's so true. And I do think the world was at its tipping point of that kind of, like you said, people wanted things with an edge and like dark humor. And I notice it a lot when, as an actor, you get pilot season, right? And so you're reading a ton of scripts, going out for auditions that you don't get the part on. But you notice trends. Like I remember one year it was all like Bernie Madoff-y money stuff. And there was this thing of like the anti-hero, the dark whatever comedy. And I think Schitt's did bring in a new kind of wave of kind comedy that you know, I think we'd reached that tipping point and the world changed. So it was the right time and the right, again, I do have to credit Canada, because the more I know about television, the more I think about it. A show like Schitt's, I don't know that it would have been allowed to find itself like that without being canceled.
But that's where things shine the best. Like projects that are allowed to continue, whether it's ratings or money or revenue, whatever the metric is. Like, when you do anything for those reasons, it can still be a success, but it's not going to be like its purest,
it's going to be like
best
everything
form.
else.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and because I noticed when I was pitching my own show that I'm doing, and everybody was like, we want something like nice and good heart, like Schitt's Creek, and we only want nice stuff. And what's funny is that when Schitt's Creek was going, nobody wanted that. And now what the new thing is not going to be what has just been. And so, but people are always looking for that, because that is such a easy, you think that is going to be success. Yeah. And anything new is untested.
Right, and then the people who are willing to take a risk on that and bankroll that for a little while and let it, you know, maybe flounder a little or try to find its way, that's when the people who are doing it are going to do their best work, because you just wanted to do it. You're not doing it for the $1 million per episode. You're not doing it for the fame. You're just like, I like this show.
Yeah. And you can tell Dan really felt that way, because he ended it when everyone would give him any money.
Oh,
Yes. Going. But he was like, this was the story. This was the whole story I wanted to tell. And as much as none of us wanted to end, even Dan, like we genuinely really like each other. It was the right thing to do. It would have been kind of selling out because that was a time when.
Yeah, but you guys, you know what? There was
Sometimes selling out's okay, Emily.
There wasn't.
Sometimes it's all right.
You didn't have a moment where you were like, "So what's up with season 7?" Or let's do a reunion or have a movie.
Let's play a hypothetical. What would we get per episode?
Deserve a victory lap.
Yeah. What I'm very happy about is that we were finished when we had the Emmy sweep, because trying to go back after that, no one wants you to succeed after that.
So high. Yeah, that's a great point to go out on top like that. I mean, you guys won everything. That was insane for that type of production to sweep the way it did. But is there any chance of anything in the future, Schitt's Creek?
I 100% think that we will do something at some point. There's not going to be like, the series isn't going to continue with another season or anything, but I'm pretty sure we will all get together to do something like something.
Just so you know, we're going to cut that out to say, I 100% think the season is going to continue.
Yes.
No, but it does lend itself to like where, if you guys get back together in 5 years, like to watch, like to think of what Dan would write, like, these guys got married and you moved here and Alexis did this, or like if Alexis actually became famous, a lot of the things that I think the characters could become. You
guys also do such innovative stuff. Like I don't think I've ever seen a show do like a tour. Or do the live panels and stuff like that.
I saw Schitt's Creek live in Brooklyn, and it was like.
Oh my God, you did?
Yeah, it was so cool. Like, I thought the way you guys did that was like, I was like, every show should do this. Like, it was so fun, and you really could tell you guys either are really great actors or you do like each other, because you're all on stage like fucking around and just having a good time.
Well, also for us, those tours were, I mean, for me, Annie, and Noah and Dan, we were like, this is insane. Like. It's like you're a rock star playing theaters like that, but you would think that Catherine and Eugene would be used to that, and they were like, even with every Christopher Guest movie, we've never experienced that kind of energy from an audience, which was like so good-hearted. Like everybody was nice to each other.
Well,
too.
That's Schitt's Creek, like that's
that's
what you cultivate.
I think when you put that out there, it really does come back.
You just finished up another video here on KFC Radio, so click subscribe. If you've watched it all the way through, you know that you like our content. You know you're going to watch more of our content in the future, so click subscribe now, and it'll just pop up on your YouTube. You won't miss anything.
It is free. I promise you that.
$0.
Free for you, great for us.
Click it.